Welcome to the Amazing Authorities Podcast, where game changers, visionaries, and category leaders share how they built their brands, platforms, and global influence. Your host is Mitch Carson, international speaker, media strategist, and creator of the Instant Authority System. If you're ready to learn from those who've done it and want to become the go-to expert in your space, you're in the right place.
And Corbin is in the house from the UK via Rhodesia. The very first.
That's a long time ago.
Well, but you're from Rhodesia, and that is unique because I don't believe I've had an expert like you on the Amazing Authorities podcast from Rhodesia, and I don't anticipate meeting another Rhodesian in my travels. But I mentioned I had a friend before. But Anne, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here.
And you left Rhodesia a few years back, and now you're in the UK, and you committed something. You said you got married.
I did, yes. And that kind of forced me to put down roots here.
Okay. And you have a podcast today. Tell us about that.
Quantum growth and connection.
Well, that can go in a lot of directions, but I love the quantum growth component. Who do you serve? Who are your listeners with this quantum growth and connection? I can guess, but I don't have a crystal ball because it's blurry.
Okay. Well, the thing is with podcasts in the main being audio, you don't get to see people.
Yes.
So it's very difficult to tell you exactly who my audience is. I know that they're worldwide, it's a global audience, but quite what the age range is, or even whether they're male or female, I simply don't know. But when I began this podcast, it had a different name. It used to be the Mind-Body-Spirit Connection.
Okay.
And I chose that because it allowed me to discuss all sorts of topics, not just mind, body, spirit, which is what really interests me, but also the connection side. And then as time moved on, I learned that mind, body, spirit suggests new age. And new age was not really what I wanted to convey. So I just gave it some thought, came up with quantum growth, which is actually much better because I'm a trainer and a mentor, and I want to encourage people in not just personal development, but the higher levels of personal development, which is consciousness, really. So I think quantum growth and connection describes that rather well.
Where did you get your training? Because most people I know just don't wake up one day and say, I'm going to talk about quantum growth. And you've probably got some background. Tell us a little bit about what made up Anne Corbin of today.
My goodness. Well, it goes back a bit.
Okay, that's okay.
The first thing I wanted to do when I left school, well, in fact, I wasn't one of those fortunate people who knew what they wanted to do. So many, many people in that position go in for teaching. So that's what I did. And I walked into my first job and I realized I had sentenced myself to a lifetime at school. So I had to do something about that. And I became an accountant.
After you became a teacher?
Yes, I didn't teach for very long.
What did you teach?
Maths and science.
Okay. So you got an analytical mind. That's good. Hence
I have.
Okay,
Yes.
well, that comes now. I understand why the quantum growth. Okay, so there's the foundation I was looking for. Okay. Then you became an accountant, also analytical.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, and I enjoyed it. It was fine. But, well, I suppose, yeah, the part of my professional life when I was employed was in accountancy. But then for one reason and another, that career came to an end. And the natural thing for me to do was to go back into teaching, but from a different angle. And I found myself coaching children one-to-one, people who were of school leaving at that time in their lives, who were struggling a bit with their maths or their physics or their chemistry or whatever. And I absolutely loved it. And strangely enough, I was also contacted by numerous parents who had much younger children. And to begin with, I thought, well, how am I going to do this? I'm not trained to teach young children. I was always high school, secondary school.
Mm-hmm.
But it came naturally. And I found I could connect really well with children around, say, 10. And I had a lot of fun. But I did stop that coaching actually before the lockdowns happened, not very long before, but I did make the decision that it's not very cost effective because you're giving such a lot of time, and there's even the driving time, which is expensive as well, but not just in terms of money, but in terms of time. So the it was more of a hobby than a job. So I was thinking about turning my one-to-one coaching into one-to-many coaching and doing some mentoring with adults. And all that happened almost directly ahead of lockdown. So there was a big hiatus in my plans. And it was in the very early days of lockdown that I found I had time to study more of the energy subject, which I'd become very interested in about 10 years earlier, because I hurt my back. I had a really stupid freak accident, but the back wasn't getting any better. And you may have come across this, but try and speak to anyone in the medical profession about severe pain and remedies for it. They can't help. They don't understand how bad the pain is. It's very difficult to express. They ask you to describe the pain.
On
And
a scale of 1 to 10.
then they say, well, what kind of pain is it? Well,
The kind that makes me
pain.
scream and cry. Yes.
So eventually I found a chiropractor, and I realized that she was doing things like that and flicking energy off me. And she was um, moving her hand
Clearing.
over my body, not just cracking bones, which is what you expect chiropractors to do. So we got talking. She told me about energy and working with energy and recommended a few books. But this was back in the day when I was still fully employed. I didn't really have the time. And I certainly hadn't got into the adult education, which, I mean, things were different before the internet took off the way that it has now. There's less information around. The training might have been there, but you had to attend physically. Where was it advertised? You had to be on the right mailing list. So how did you get
Right.
on in the first place? Things were so different.
You had to dig.
Yeah, now everything is available. So early days of lockdown, I really took advantage. That was when I first attended a Tony Robbins course, but that was way into my personal development training myself. And I was already interested in the higher levels. And then I came across Peter Sage, who is probably the trainer that I work with most now. And yeah, we're just aligned on the same wavelength. Brilliant stuff.
Okay. So who do you help today?
My most likely client would be a lady of, say, 40 plus, who is a high achiever, doing far too much, has no time for herself, and she's quite possibly pretty close to burnout, but won't have realized it yet.
Okay. And then you'll take her and show her a better way to live and to.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And tell us again, where is your podcast?
Oh, it's on Apple and Spotify, the usual places. Some of them I put on YouTube, but most of them are just on the regular platforms. I think it shows up on Audible as well.
Well, isn't that nice? Well, Amazon is listing podcasts now.
It's probably there too. I'm not really certain where the platform that I upload it to directs the podcasts. I used to be with Omni Studio through a very expensive agency,
Got
and
it.
then I stopped using them. And I'm not really sure if I'm still showing up in all these other.
Well, we'll look at that later. So where can people find you then? What once again the name of your podcast?
It's Quantum Growth and Connection.
Quantum Growth and Connection podcast. So it is listed on all the big carriers. Well, mostly Apple and Spotify, and we're now that you're going video as well, it'll be on your YouTube channel, which is great.
Yeah,
And thank you so much for your time today, and all the best. And Rhodesia rocks, and you've got the best dogs in the world with the hair going the other way, and they're solid.
I'm
They're
so
solid.
pleased. I'm so pleased that they didn't rename the dogs. Can you
That's a
imagine?
Oh no, they're great, Rhodesia. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Ann. We'll see you next
Thank
time.
you, Mitch. It's been such a pleasure. Well, hello again. I have another guest with me this week, Mitch Carson. Mitch, I'm so pleased to have you on my podcast. This is quite exciting for me because you are a well-known personality, particularly in America. And where else? Because you're not living in America at the moment, are you?
I'm living in Thailand, and over my right shoulder, I can't really show it because then you'll see my kitchen, which needs a cleaning, is the beach out in Jomtien Beach, Thailand, which is where we met a couple months back, when you attended David Kavanaugh's workshop, all about AI.
That's
And then that's
absolutely
where we
right.
met and were able to connect. So I have lived in 7 countries, originally from the United States. Like you, I don't live in my native country. I know that we have some changes that we've had to welcome in life, and here I am. I couldn't be happier looking out my window and I see the ocean. I'm not going to go swimming in it today, but it's nice to know that it's there.
Right. And it's a very nice, warm ocean to swim
It
in
is.
fact, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no freezing allowed here.
So, Mitch, you've had a very interesting career. You've done a number of different things, but the space that you're in at the moment, um, how would you describe that?
I'm in a space of where, as a heart attack survivor 2 years ago, a lot shifted, Ann, in my life. My
Mhm.
whole perspective changed, not instantly, slowly. It Once the dust settled of the shock of going through a near death experience, a real one, where I thought this was it. It's like, oh my gosh, I still got a little bit more to do. And unexpected, nobody expects a heart attack. It happens. And then if you survive it, it can be a bit of a reboot in life. When
And
you
how much do you remember of that near-death
I
experience?
remember it completely clearly. I drove myself to the ER, to the emergency room. So I managed it, packed a bag, breathed very slowly, and drove myself. Believe it or not, my blood pressure wasn't bad, but then they looked at some other indices from tests, and they wheeled me in, and I've got 2 stents later in my LED. I had a 95% blockage in 2 spots. So I'm very lucky to be here. So
Mhm.
clearly my ticket wasn't ready to be punched.
You're so right. And let's be grateful for that. But I was wondering about the experience itself. Did you see the bright light and uh, did you have a life review and all the other things that we hear about?
I didn't see a bright light. What I saw was a snapshot of my life. I wish I'd seen this bright light. I wish I had a spiritual awakening that so many people say, or they went to the other side and came
Mhm.
back and they saw a glimpse. I didn't have that experience. I almost wish I did so I could talk about it, but I won't make one up. I'm going to be honest so my nose doesn't grow on camera. Okay. We all know about Pinocchio, so I'll keep it straight and clear. What I did have, as I said, it wasn't overnight. It was over a series of nights where it took months to get over the shock of what happened and
Mhm.
realize I truly dodged a bullet. had a near miss. I just jerked a little bit to one side and it whizzed past me, maybe nicked my ear to where I can now go back metaphorically, nicked my ear to where I can examine where I was then, where I am today, and what I want to accomplish before I finally do make peace with this is my finite time on the planet. We are here for a finite period of time. I went back to looking at high school graduation when I was 18 years old, 17, not quite 18. Then it was college graduation. I had all these pictures of significant events in my life to, then my parents dying when I was 22 years old, 5 weeks apart, bang, bang. I looked at that. I've outlived both of them. They died in their 40s. I'm in my 60s, so I've exceeded them. Then I looked at graduating from graduate school. Then I looked at all the stages I've been on around the world, 63 countries. Then I looked at my personal life, having been married, saying I do, and then going through I don't, which was a divorce, and then being single after that experience to where I am today. And I've made peace with this is a finite journey. We don't live forever. And you got to live for the best. You have overheard the cliche, you got to live for today. Well, yes, you do. Yes, you do, because you don't know what tomorrow will bring you. And I'm not one of these motivational speakers. So you got to live 100% every day. No, you don't. That would bring me a heart attack. I think you will. Yeah, I live at about 60% of what I could full out. And I think that's an absolute destroyer of lives when Tony Robbins and some of the others stand up on stage. Now, I love Tony's message. He's the biggest speaker in the world. I starkly disagree with some elements of his message and others that are like him, saying, you can sleep when you die. And you
live every day as if it was your last and all that stuff.
And that's a bunch of BS, Ann. I challenge that statement starkly with conviction. And why do I? Because that'll lead you to an early grave. I think it requires sitting back. This is my opinion, and it's just my opinion. And I don't think it changed dramatically because I did have the heart attack. It confirmed what I believed. And I did attend a Tony Robbins seminar at one time, and I found it great. It was fun, but there's no way, me personally, I could operate at 100%. You'll burn out. You won't have any adrenal glands. You won't have any adrenal glands. Who can operate at that level? And go, it's your last. No, you're going to burn out. And my gosh, one of a multitude, let's just pull it off the shelf of illnesses will plague you. I think relaxation, mindfulness, having balance is important. Relaxing. I could go back easily to the life I led when I was in my 30s and up until about 45. I was on an airplane every week speaking.
Absolutely exhausting. But let's talk a little bit more about your speaking career and all the multi-facets that are involved in that. What part did you enjoy most?
Meeting people internationally. I think it was a great time. I even mentioned this to David yesterday. We were talking last night, and I said, I want to produce another event here in Bangkok for speakers and share my years on the stage at the international and then incorporating AI. And he said, well, so what? What do you mean? He loves to challenge me. And he said, well, so what? What makes your event different? I said, I want you to be part of it because you offer something that I don't necessarily offer. You're going to add value where I don't necessarily have as much as you in some cases, and in some I do. And then he changed his tune. But I mentioned very few speakers have traveled the world globally like me. There are a handful of us. Very few have had the media that I've had. So that makes my niche very small. To share that knowledge, what it took to get that kind of media exposure, coming from nowhere to being somewhere and to being at the top of the food chain as an international speaker. Few, now I don't claim to be at the level of Tony Robbins income wise, but I certainly can claim to be in the next level below, where I'm in the company of many, many A-level. He's A plus in his own category. But the A-level speakers, I've been part of that cohort for decades. And I
Wow.
want to share that experience of what it took to get there and how do you embrace it and leverage it and profit from it.
Yes, yeah. And what would you say are the key traits of highly successful speakers?
Oh, it's easy. And I've created a list on this. It's, it's the successful speakers checklist. How do you do this? One, you've got to have a very strong message that is timely and relevant to the market. If you're talking about buggy whip or saddle manufacturing for horses, I don't think anybody can pitch that today. It's just not relevant.
Tiny audience.
Yeah, there's no audience for it. And I also talk a lot about find a starving crowd with money. Who's willing to pay you to solve their problem? And will they have the capacity to pay you for the solution? If they don't have any money to pay you, leave it. You may be passionate about it. Yeah. So finding a crowd that's got a big pain point and you have the solution in whatever you present and sell or present and offer. It could be consulting. It could be a product, could be a course, could be all these things. Number two, so you've got your pitch down. Okay, you found a market, you satisfied the niche, you've got a solution. Then how do you get booked? How do you credentialize yourself?
I suppose this would be where the media kit
comes into play, big time. Have you been on podcasts? Current ones, big ones, small ones, relevant to your category? Have you decided to become a podcast host? Hint, hint, hint. That's another way of creating your own media platform. Easier than the top of the food chain, of course, is network television. Have you been featured on any of the network television shows in your respective markets? You're in the UK. If you're on BBC, you're the shit. You've reached the top of the platform, or CNN. And I've never been on BBC, but I've been on CNN. I had my own show on CNN in the Philippines, where I would get my speakers on CNN as well. Have you been on radio shows? Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to ask you about social media.
Oh, I'll get there in a minute. I'll certainly spill into that category. But the other big critical factor, if you are in the world as a professional speaker, if you don't have at least one book, if not a series of books in your category, you have not taken the craft seriously. So those are the traditional media outlets that are necessary. Do you have courses? How do you monetize this? So how do you make money with it? And then social media, for me and my market, LinkedIn is the king, followed by a YouTube channel. Then it would, X is out there, but YouTube you have to have, because if you are a speaker, how can you not be speaking and showcase your skills on video? How can you not showcase your skills being on Reels on Instagram? If a show event planner is looking for a speaker in leadership, let's pick a common topic, or personal motivation, or quantum breakthroughs with issues, like say the topic that you're an expert in. If you don't have snippets of you speaking about that topic, why would they book you? Why would they risk their reputation to their audience, to their bosses, if they haven't vetted you properly? And you have to have the proof assets in order to make you eligible for an opportunity to be chosen. You have to have the boxes ticked. Media is there. Social media is there. A media kit is there. Professional branded photography. Well taken photos. And I'm not talking at the company Christmas present party when you're toasting with a martini. No, 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 no. Professional photography that shows the best you. Do you have video clips? Do you have an introduction reel so they don't require an MC to introduce you? Do you have a testimonial reel showing proof of past booking agents or event planners saying Anne was the greatest? She captivated the crowd. She got great reviews, and she's getting an invitation back for next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you want. So then it removes the risk of hiring you. Because then when an event producer hires you as an unknown or an unproven entity, they can deflect a lot of that fear, gets managed by all of these proof assets from other people. Testimonials from a variety of people in a variety of markets will help open that door wider for you. Doesn't guarantee it, but let's just say I've had no trouble getting booked around the world.
That's very clear. Yes. And congratulations. Super successful.
And because
So,
I've done what is necessary. How did you
Mhm.
become a teacher? You went to school for it.
I certainly did,
You
yes.
ticked the boxes in order to be eligible to teach. So if you want to be eligible to speak professionally, and I'm talking way above
Mhm.
Toastmasters or Agora speakers or something of that, or speaking at, your school, I'm talking to get paid. You got to
Mhm.
tick all those boxes,
Yeah.
undeniably.
And you have to have something to speak about that interests people, right?
Yeah, problem solution relevant to today.
So
Buggy
one
whips
last
are not.
question.
Yeah,
One
sure.
last question I want to ask you. How would you build relationships with journalists and media professionals and kind of get them on side?
Oh, I love being asked that. Start following your journalists that you want to get featured on later. You got to play. You just can't cold send them, hey, I'm great, feature me.
Mm,
You've got to start commenting on the articles that they're writing or get involved with them. Get them on social media, comment and send components. So then here's an angle. 3 angles I'm going to share. That is the tricky way, the smart way. Pay your dues before you ask. Give, ask. Give, ask.
mhm.
Rub a few backs before you ask for your feet to be rubbed.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mhm.
That's life. Like it or not, it's the rule of reciprocity. That's life. That works universally. Now,
Mhm.
how do you open up the door? That's how you open up the door. How do you get the door open wider and invited in? That's your real question. So
Mhm.
I've talked about opening the door. You've got it cracked open. Now to get
Mhm.
invited in, 3 ways. One, it's relevant. Anything AI today will possibly get you more recognition than without AI included in the title of your pitch. Okay, that's 1. 2, timeliness, meaning you can tie your promotional content to a media calendar. Right
Ah,
now, we're
yes.
going into Halloween. I don't know if you
Mhm.
celebrate Halloween in the UK, but it's big in the US.
Oh, yes, yes. I've seen it grow year by year.
Okay, something that'll tie into Halloween because in the US, which is a very big market, it's the second most important retail holiday in our country. Christmas is number 1, Halloween is number 2.
Good heavens.
Yes, that's how much money is spent on it. So if you've got something it can tie into these holidays, and think of it as a media calendar, because as a journalist, as a former journalist, we had to follow a media calendar. We were covering somebody that's relevant. Mother's Day is huge. Do you have something that applies to Mother's Day? Do you have something that applies to 4th of July in America, our independence from the UK 249 years ago? Is there something that would signify that separation or the glorification of America's independence? Fireworks, all of this. Can you tie something in?
Mhm.
Christmas, the biggest promotional opportunity probably globally, because it's still the largest religion in the world. Can you tie it to New Year's? Can you tie it to President's Day or Prime Minister Day? I don't know what you have, all the holidays in, or the Queen's birthday, the King's birthday, I would imagine, in the UK.
Yeah.
So you have a media calendar, something that's timely. Third one, and this will shock you, but it's the easiest way for me to get a client booked in the world. And it's worked 95% of the time. For the other 5%, I use the calendar and I use the timeliness of the product, service, or topic. Write a book. Write a book. Did I say that? Write a book.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Because it's your unique thumbprint. If you've written a book, you've auto-magically positioned yourself as an expert. You've credentialized yourself. And an anthology, meaning being a contributor to a book of many people, sorry, doesn't qualify. That doesn't open the door. You're one of many.
Yeah, well,
you
why
need to
should
have
it?
your own book. You need to have your own. Now, I have nothing against anthologies. I've been in many. I've written some. I've had contributors contribute to glorify them, to get them some exposure. However, it's not enough to get the media to pay attention to you. Unless me being the author of the anthology that I wrote back in January, where I featured 23 of my authors who'd written books under my authorship program. The Amazing Authors of Singapore was the name of it. I pushed it to bestseller status so they all were able to claim it, but they all had their own books as well. So that is part of it. They can claim it. Hey, I'm in this book also as a secondary, but you have to be a primary author yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay. I've done both.
Yeah. Well, you get it. You get it. So did I say anything that didn't make sense?
Not at all. That's been so useful, Mitch. I'm sure that anyone in my audience who is interested in your topic will have learned so many fantastically useful bits of information from you. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm glad I'm here. And if they want more information, they can go get info at getinterviewedguaranteed.com, getinterviewedguaranteed.com. And one more time, getinterviewedguaranteed.com and put the www in front of it, and you will find more info about that topic. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I feel like I've grown in a quantum way.
Oh, how kind. It's been such fun. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Amazing Authorities Podcast. If today's episode inspired you, take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps more experts like you rise to the top. For behind-the-scenes access and free resources to boost your authority, head to mitchcarson.com. Until next time, stay amazing.